Hi, Rozalla. Thank you for joining me on the podcast. How are you doing?
I'm good, Ethan. Thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you for joining me. With my guests, I like to go back to the start. What was life like for you growing up in Zambia and Zimbabwe?
I was happy my grandparents raised me because my mom had me when she was too young. So I grew up calling my grandparents mom and dad, till my mom was old enough to take care of me. And yeah, I spent many happy years with my grandparents, with my mom, with my, extended family members. I grew up on a farm in Dola, Zambia.
You were always singing and performing from a young age, though, weren't you?
Yes, I was always singing from a very young age. It's just that is just what I wanted to do all of my life was to be a singer.
What age did you start playing clubs and things? Because that was early on, wasn't it?
I remember I can say my first important gig. I was 14 years old, and my dad had a friend who was a band member, and they used to play at the Hotel Intercontinental in Lusaka. And my dad said, "Can't you get my daughter to come and sing?" And he's like, "Yeah, okay, we can do a 2 week stint." And my dad would take me every night to perform with this band about 8 o'clock in the evening. But the hotel didn't advertise me because I was still underage. So, so that's the very first sort of professional gig you could say I did and that I remember.
Weren't you on a TV program as well?
Yes, and I also did children's television programs in Zambia. I can't remember what they were called. I've been trying for so long to try and get a hold of them, just to go back in time. But no, I can't. And then, of course, all that was happening for me in Zambia. And then we moved to Zimbabwe, where I think things began to take a turn for the better, career wise. And yeah.
So when would you say your career started to take off? How did that happen?
I would say in Zimbabwe because I remember I joined a band and we called ourselves Grab, which was the beginning of the letters of our first names. That was Gabby, Rozalla, Andy, and Boyke. And we went around the country, doing shows. And the songs we were doing were, because Zimbabwe and Zambia are very influenced by Western style music, so we were learning those from the radio and buying their records. And then, of course, you have the African style music as well, which is just so beautiful and so special. So we'd mix those up and go around and perform in clubs, in hotels, at weddings and stuff like that, And during that time, which I loved, I also began to think I need to record material of my own. I can't do this for the rest of my life. I mean, that would be fine. It works for other people, but I just wanted to, be an artist that released original material under my own name.
Did Zimbabwe have a big music scene at that time?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Zimbabwe and Zambia are very, they have their own African music, which is just incredible, beautiful, and they also influenced very much by Western style music as well. So absolutely, yeah, they're ahead of their game.
Did a lot of people go on to have a career like you, or is that not heard of over there?
Well, you could say it about any country in the world, I suppose. It's what I wanted for myself. I wanted to break out and become an international artist. Um, and it just so happened that whether it was America or England that opened its doors to me, I was going to, grab it. And it just so happened that it was England. And I just think in life, for whatever career you want, whether you want to be in whatever country or remain in your country, it's up to the individual what you want and what you. I now they're now calling it manifest. What you manifest for what you want to have happen in your life.
So was it on a TV show that your manager Chris Sargent discovered you?
Yes, and that's when Chris Sargent discovered me. I won a talent contest, and the prize was a recording contract in Zimbabwe. and I went on to record material of my own. So my dream started sort of, waking up, so to speak. And then Chris Sargent spotted one of my videos in Zimbabwe when he was on holiday with his family. And he just happened to be friends with a very good DJ friend of mine, John Matindi. And he asked John who that was. And long story short, we got introduced. And next thing, Chris is inviting me around to the UK. He owned a recording studio in Wolverhampton. So can you see how these things, when you sort of think, I don't know, now it's just so crazy, Ethan, like it's all about manifesting. And I'm thinking, maybe all that time I was manifesting because I was thinking of these things and this is what I want to have happen. And, not everything has happened, but it's got me to a place of where I've come as far as I could ever have possibly hoped to be.
It's like it's fate, really, isn't it? Like Chris going on holiday and discovering you, and then it all snowballs from there, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been incredible, because then I came to England. We recorded material in Chris's studio. And then, Chris is like, you've made it in Zimbabwe. So we got to send around these, it was cassettes at the time, around record labels to try and get you a deal. And I'm like, oh, yes, I want to get a record deal, And Chris's vision for me at that time was to record ballads and be like a sort of a Whitney Houston type singer, And I loved doing ballads. And one of the songs fell on the laps of Tim and Nigel, who were known as the Band of Gypsies. And they were like, we love your voice, come and meet us. And I went around to meet them in Denmark Street Studios, Peer Music in London. So all this was just like, a bud of a flower sort of slowly opening up. And and I went to meet them and they loved my voice. And they said, what style of music do you want to do? Because we think your voice will lend well to dance music. And I said, well, I love strong bass lines. I love strong drum sounds. And I said, and the lyrics, make them positive, uplifting lyrics. And so when you listen to the Everybody's Free album, the whole of that album's lyrics are so positive and uplifting.
Before we get on to that brilliant album and your brilliant singles, you mentioned you came over to England. Did you leave your family behind and come over on your own?
Yes, I did. I came over on my own. I just came to try my luck. I just thought, let me see how this goes, with every intention of going back to live in Zimbabwe, But of course, as things started to take shape, I realized I can't do that just yet. Just keep seeing. It was just a case of, let's see where I go. And then the next thing I thought, in order for this to really work, I'm going to have to base myself here in the UK. And I've been here now I started traveling to the UK late 1988, and I began to actually live here in 1990.
Really?
Yeah.
What's that like, though? Like, 'cause that's a big step for anybody really coming all this way and starting a career, not knowing anybody. And what is that whole experience like?
When I look back at it, Ethan, I think, yes, it was a big step. But I had people here who believed in me, who made me feel so at home, so welcomed. And of course, my family back home were like so encouraging. You got to do it, you can do it. If you've got this opportunity, just grab it, And of course, my success helps my family and my friends. So I don't only eat steak and chips for myself, so to speak.
So on to your first single, Born to Love You. That was your first UK single. What was it like recording and like the whole experience of that?
It was so exciting because, you have to imagine I came, we had recording studios in Zimbabwe. It was the label that signed was called Grammar Records. And they had an amazing recording studio. I mean, I was so like, wow. And then coming to the UK to record in their studio. And of course, their production units were so state of the art. It was just incredible. And it was just, all of them have just been just wonderful experiences. And working with Tim and Nigel will just be forever an amazing experience. They were, I would say, the the two angels in my life that came and helped me.
You mentioned your first meeting with them. Did you always know that they were the right people for you and you would have success with them?
No, you never know. You know, it's just all trial and error. You never really know. And it's like when I go into the studio today and I still have the fortune of recording new material, you're in the studio, you're singing the song, you're thinking, this is great, this is going to be a hit. But the truth is, Ethan, once it's out there, it's beyond your control of what becomes of it. You know, it could go out there and be released and get not played, or you don't hear of it again. It's just one of those things. And I think it's just gotten a little bit tougher.
What do you mean, like nowadays?
Yeah, nowadays I think it's just gotten a bit tougher. But then, having said that, I thought back in the early 90s it was just as tough as well. So I don't know. I think, you know, now the way I look at it, it's so tough. Like when you release a new single, back in the 90s, we'd send round what they would call white labels for the DJs to hear, and they would sort of tick it and like it. I think that still goes on a bit, but it was more a sort of an early 90s thing. But now I think, what do you do to promote a new single? Because there's hardly any, there's not Top of the Pops, you know. But then having said that, you've got the internet, which is great, you know. And I think I read somewhere that Ed Sheeran sort of actually became the star that he is today through releasing his own material on YouTube. So it depends, I suppose.
The thing is, like you say there as well, I've spoke about this with previous guests as well. Like with social media, there's a lot of competition on there, though, isn't there? Like everybody can go on social media and promote their things, so it's about standing out. But it's like millions of people try to do the same thing, really, isn't it?
Yes, exactly, and that's where it gets hard, and that's where I get lost. And I just think, well, how else can you push your material unless you have a major record label backing you? But then even that is far and wide.
Yeah.
So honestly, I don't know. I don't have the answer.
You mentioned there Top of the Pops. What was it like? Did you enjoy playing programs like that over in the UK?
I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I had the fortune of doing Top of the Pops 8 times. And each of the times I, like, you know, there were other artists performing on it as well. And I remember meeting Mariah Carey, you know, who I'm such a big fan. She has got one of the best voices I've ever heard. And she was on it and she was lovely. I took pictures with her. I met Sting on the corridor, you know, and I took pictures with him. And that time we didn't have iPhones. So we had these Kodak spools. And I'm taking pictures. And when I got home, I opened up my camera to take out the spool so I could go and have it, you know, turned into pictures. And there wasn't a spool in there. So there you go. Yeah.
You know, with Born to Love You, your first single,
Yeah.
did you start to make a name for yourself from that, or was it later on? When would you say you made a name over here for yourself?
I think it was Born to Love You, because that was one of the first singles I released in the UK, and it became apparently a very big underground hit for me, you know, and that's what also created me going around and doing club dates, was Born to Love You. And I thought, wow, this is amazing. And of course, they were getting ready to release the next single, which I believe was Faith in the Power of Love. And then there was whispers going around rather, from the fans saying, oh, no, 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 we don't want Rozalla to cross over into the commercial charts because she's ours. She must stay in the underground world with us and just release music. And I'm like, guys, I need to make a living. I got a career and I can't, you know, it's all very well staying on the underground singer, queen, or whatever you want to call me. And, but, you know, having a commercial success means worldwide. But so that was so funny. That was so funny.
You mentioned they're going around and playing clubs and things. What was that like, playing here in the UK and playing clubs and warehouses and different places?
It was amazing, you know. I look back at the early 90s doing the raves, which were fantastic. And, you know, I used to hear the police used to come around and close them down, which was so funny, you know. I mean, obviously not funny at the time, But fortunately, when I do the raves, there'd be anywhere between 5 to 10,000 people, and they'd have these raves in the middle of a field, of a farm. And keep in mind, we didn't have iPhones or anything of the sort. So I used to wonder, how did these people find out where this gig was happening in the middle of nowhere? And then, so I'd perform at these gigs. I'd love it. People would go crazy. I'd leave and then read in the newspaper, oh, this, rave was hijacked by the police at like 4 or 5 in the morning. So there was a lot of that going around. But, I've done a few sort of raves moving forward in 2025, 2024, and they've tried to recreate the raves that we had in the early 90s. You could never recreate something that once was, but it's certainly, the memory was there and the idea was there, absolutely, and it did take me back. So I've done a few of those rave scenes where they've tried to mimic like it once was in the 90s, and it's been so lovely.
Yeah, definitely. Well, your big hit, Everybody's Free, that everybody knows. What's it like having a hit like that that is still so popular today?
Ethan, it's amazing. I was telling someone that when I first started going out doing Everybody's Free, the audience would sing the chorus because I think the chorus is quite catchy, quite hooky and simple to follow. It's not complicated. And that was just amazing. So fast forward to over 30 years plus, I did a gig over the weekend, and not only is the audience singing the chorus, they're singing the verses. And I'm like, and it's quite emotional. It's such an emotional feeling. And I'm just handing them the microphone going, yeah, you sing the song. I'll just stand here. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Like that song, like, was a massive hit and it gave you like a superstardom status. You were chasing like having a successful career. When the fame and things came, was it how you expected it to be, that life?
Not at all. Not at all. I honestly, Ethan, I can't really say what I expected. I just wanted to be a singer. And to be honest, where I am right now in my life, being a singer is everything I could have dreamed of. I just wanted to be an international singer, to earn a living from it, to have a career from it, to go out and sing my songs and get paid for it, have a career like you would in an office job or whatever career you choose to do. And that's what's happened. And I pinch myself and I think, I'm being paid to sing. But not only am I being paid to sing, I'm being paid to sing my hits, which is just incredible. It's just incredible. And I am forever grateful.
Well, speaking of hits, you had a great run of singles in the early 90s. You had the two we've mentioned, you had Faith, Are You Ready to Fly, and Love Breakdown. What's that like, having such a successful run of hits?
Wonderful. My dream come true. My absolute dream come true. It's everything I dreamt of. And yeah. And then, to say Everybody's Free is 34 years old this year, I believe in September. To say that 34 years later, I'm primarily getting booked because of Everybody's Free to feel good. And going to do the circuit and be told that the song sounds like it was just released yesterday is just so wonderful. It's so surreal, and I think Everybody's Free to Feel Good has been kept, the profile of the song has been kept the way it is because you've got so many young and upcoming artists who have recorded it. You've got all these producers who are doing so many remixes. I've lost count of how many times Everybody's Free to Feel Good has been remixed, but it's things like that that has kept the profile of the song where it is. That's what I believe, and you have these X Factor contestants singing it. You have Kylie, who did it for her Christmas album a few years ago. And you have Boots, who have done used the song for their videos. And I'm like, thank you. That's the profile of the song, Raves. Thank you.
We mentioned playing live. You toured with Michael Jackson in 1992. What was that like?
That was wonderful. You know, I grew up in junior school loving the Jacksons. You know, the Jackson 5, they were known. And then they became the Jacksons because Michael left to perform and become an artist in his own right. So I'm following them going, oh, the Jacksons, the Jackson 5, Michael Jackson. And, you know, then he released his album Off the Wall, which, in my opinion, will remain to be one of his best ever albums. So, you know, I'm loving them and I'm a big fan. So can you imagine many years later, you know, I signed to Sony, which was another dream of mine to sign to one of the biggest labels in the world. They also had Michael Jackson on the label, and he was due to embark on sadly, his last tour, the Dangerous Tour. And at that time, Everybody's Free to Feel Good, Are You Ready to Fly, Faith in the Power of Love were my biggest hit singles, and they were massive for me around Europe. And Michael, I believe, asked Sony, I want a dance artist that's really, you know, happening around Europe. So they sent him my music, my videos, as well as other artists. And he personally chose me. And I remember being in the offices in New York, at the Sony offices, because I was due to start recording my album for them. And they're like, you better get back now. Michael has chosen you. And I'm like, yeah, I'm right. Dropped everything. I made a beeline for the airport, and I came back to start rehearsing. And that will remain one of the highlights of my career, for sure.
It's crazy. I couldn't imagine something like that. Like, Michael Jackson was the biggest artist, one of the biggest artists ever, isn't he? So what was it like performing in front of his audience?
It was scary. It was so nerve-wracking, but equally so exciting, because I always tell myself, this is an opportunity. You know, opportunities don't come knocking on your door every day. You know, and as I've gotten older, I realize it more and more. When you're faced with an opportunity, whatever it is, you grab it. You grab it because you don't know. It's like make hay when the sun shines, you know. And Michael's people backstage, you know, his whole crew. I mean, it was like a little moving village, you know, just took me under their wings and treated me like their own. And that really made things so much more easier and so helpful. And they were rooting for me, you know, and of course, like I said, Everybody's Free to Feel Good and the other hits were so big across Europe, performing to over 75,000 people. When I got on that stage, and as soon as Everybody's Free came on, or any of the songs that I did, I was received so well. It was just so surreal, so incredible, just magical.
You actually met him as well, didn't you?
Yes, I met Michael 2 or 3 times. I've got pictures with him. I don't know if you can see, there's one on my wall with him. And yeah, so we took pictures, and he was really nice. And he said to me, you know, Rozalla, when I'm driving, because I opened obviously before him, and then he come on 30 minutes later after I'd done my set. So he says to me when we're taking that picture, when I'm driving in the car, Rozalla, I hear the fans screaming for you. That's really fantastic. So I said, well, it's thanks to you for, you know, choosing me to be your sport actor. And I'm so, so proud. I'm so pleased. And he's like, you keep it up. And he was so lovely. He was so nice. And honestly, Ethan, whenever I could, when I finished my set, got to the stage, changed into my normal jeans, T-shirt. And I was one of the fans just waiting with bated breath to watch Michael Jackson. And so, because I had the VIP pass, so I was lucky I could stand right by the side of the stage, you know, and watch him. And my jaw was like, you know, and then until he said to one of his security guards, please tell Rozalla not to stand there because she's really like, you know, I can't concentrate. So that was so funny, but it was so wonderful. And then of course, my last gig I did with him was in Portugal, and you know, I wanted to say bye to him, so they arranged that, and he hugged me and he kissed me. You know, have a great time, Rozalla. Look after yourself, and yeah, really, really nice, really good.
Well, we mentioned those hit singles before. Have you got any stories behind the recording of those songs or anything?
No, it's just, you know, the Everybody's Free album as a whole. When I went in with Tim and Nigel, who, you know, like I say, will remain my angels, were such talented songwriters and musicians. And, you know, they delivered what I asked them what we all went in to do was do an album that was uplifting, songs and lyrics that were positive. Like when you listen to Everybody's Free to Feel Good, brothers and sisters together will make it through. That's for everyone around the world, however you want to take it. And that's all I can say about all the songs. They all have stories. You know, faith. You got to have faith in the power of love, because why? Love is everything. Love is what makes the world go round. You know, are you ready to fly? You know, put your hands in the air. It's just, they all just positive and may fit into a moment in your life, and you take it to feel how you want to.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's why like rave music and dance music is so popular, because people can relate to it all over the world, the music. Then you've got the uplifting lyrics as well.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely. And, you know, I guess I could be biased, but a lot of people are like, 90s music was the best. And I'm like, yeah, you just keep saying that because it will keep me working. It'll keep me working for very long. Yeah. But yeah, you know, 90s music was just incredible. And it just takes you down memory lane, and it's beautiful.
Genre-wise, you went down a different route with your next album, Look No Further.
Yes, yes. I wanted to do, you know, material that I was doing when I was with Grab. Like I said, you know, we were doing ballads, we were doing disco music, dance music, and I felt, you know, when I came to the UK, Chris wanted me to do ballads, but I didn't have the opportunity to do that with the Everybody's Free album. So I thought maybe I could turn ship a little and do that. And Sony wanted me to do that. So when you listen to the Look No Further album, you know, they got one of the best songwriters in the world to write me the title track of the album, Look No Further, Diane Warren. And I met her. What an amazing lady. And I got to working with Jelly Bean Benitez. We did I Love Music for Carlito's Way, the movie. And so that definitely turned a corner. And I did music in that album that I've always wanted to do, because you got to move on. You can't stay stagnant in one place. And so that was just such a great album for me to do.
And then you went back with the Band of Gypsies and for the Coming Home album. What
That's
was
right.
it like going back with them and working with them again?
Yes, I worked with them again. The Coming Home album is, you know, again, I wouldn't say it's all up tempo music or positive lyrics. Again, you know, we've all grown older. You change, and I had the opportunity of co-writing with Tim and Nigel this time, as well as Phil Manikiza, and songs were sent to me that I did for that album, and it was wonderful that Tim and Nigel actually produced the album for me. So they didn't write all the songs. It was just songs that were given to me and songs that I co-wrote, and they produced the album for me.
Well, your most recent album in 2024, Turn on the Light, that's a mix of genres as well. Like you've got poppy songs, ballads, obviously the dance music. So you're always like expanding, aren't you, and going further.
Absolutely. Gary Simmons, who runs Energize, always wanted to work with me for a long while. He's like, your recording career is not over. Let's keep on making new music. And Ethan, just to have the opportunity to record new material is such a gift for me, you know, as well as doing my old repertoire. And it's such a gift to record new material. So Turn on the Light, I co-wrote with two amazing songwriters. And then, of course, on this album, I've also done material that was released. Nicolette Larson, Lot of Love. She released it, I believe, in the 70s, and sadly, she's no longer with us. It actually was my husband that heard that song. He's like, you got to do that song, you know, and also a song that was done by a group called Player, Baby Come Back. Those are covers that were done, I guess, 70s, 80s. So I did songs that were done many years ago, as well as, you know, songs that I co-wrote in the 2000s. So that album, I'm so proud of Turn on the Light. I'm really, really proud of it.
Well, you've recently had a new single out, Can You Hear Me, that went to #1 in the Heritage charts. That must be a brilliant feeling that you're still bringing out music, it's still getting recognised.
Absolutely. And I give my thanks and my gratitude to Mike Reed, because he believes, when we had a chat, that, the artists that, like, let's take Cliff Richard or artists from yesteryear, they hardly been played on radio these days, but they're still going out and performing, and so he wanted to give this channel, the Heritage Chart, an opportunity to artists that are still going out there performing, not necessarily even releasing new material. And of course, he's a big fan, so we sent him the track. So the way the Heritage Chart works is, I think people vote for the songs, so it's quite legitimate. And Jonathan Dahl, who is just I love him. He's like, "You're at number one. You're at number one." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, wow, okay." And how I got to doing "Can You Hear Me" was with Phil Hardin and Graham and Philippa Ebbs, and they work in the studio in central London, and they did the song and they sent it to me because Phil Hardin knows Gary Simmons from Energize, and he's like, "I think this song would be really up Rozalla Street," and I heard it and I thought, absolutely. So I got into the studio, recorded it with them, absolutely loved it, and this is how far we've got with that song. So now we're co-writing other songs together. So that's what that song is done, and we're co-writing other songs together, and just doing it, making things happen, hopefully.
You get that a lot then? Is that how most songs come about, where people will reach out to you and think, "Oh, that suits your voice. Would you like to do it?"
Yes, I get that a lot, which is great. I get sent quite a lot of songs where people would like my voice to be sung on, or they'd like to work with me, or they'd like to do a duet with me. And that's just been amazing. But I can't do them all because then I don't wear myself thin. I can't do them all, unfortunately. But it's just like, a tap on the back. It just makes me feel so chuffed.
Well, how do you pick and choose which ones to do then? Is it just a gut feeling of what you believe like sounds good?
I think it's many things, because sometimes I get demo songs that are sent to me that are very rough, and there's something that'll stand out, and I can sort of hear myself singing it, and I think, oh, I can hear that, because when I get a demo song, it can sound like it did at number one, and when it gets to number 10, it's totally different. It's totally different. So, when I did Lot of Love, for instance, that wasn't a demo song, but when you listen to that Nicolette Larson's version to what I've done now, we've kept some of the flavor of what was done when she did it, but we've sort of modernized it. So yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's just magical.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, what is life like for you these days? Are you working on? You mentioned you're still co-writing and things. Are you working on anything new? You still playing live? Have you got any shows coming up? What is life like for you these days?
Well, my husband was saying I don't have a free weekend until November. Yeah, so every weekend I'm busy, which is great. I absolutely love going out and performing. Spain has been really amazing to me, going out and doing what they call Love the 90s, and they have anywhere from between 20 to 25,000 people that turn out. It's just absolutely incredible. And then, of course, I'll do the very small nightclubs, which have become rare. But when I do, it's quite amazing. And for me, that's what makes my career so interesting, because it's not always the same thing happening. So that's what's going on. And of course, as you mentioned earlier, I'm still in the studio recording new material with PPG3. And Gary just sent me some new tracks to listen to. So I'll be listening to those as well. So that side of my career is still happening, and I'm so grateful to that. And yeah, and taking a walk in the woods.
How have you kept your voice in such good condition over the years?
Oh my goodness. Mostly Ethan, I sing at weekends. And one of the things I've learned to do, which I didn't in my earlier career, was do vocal warm-ups, the and there's all different types of vocal warm-ups. And I found that is so important to warming up the vocals before you go on stage and sing it. And then, of course, when I'm not performing during the weekdays, I try and rest my voice as much as possible. That's all you can do, is rest your voice. And then, of course, you know, they say take lemon and honey, ginger and honey. And I try all those things, and there is a path for doing that. There's also, which I don't really do, steaming the vocal cords. So, you know, if say you don't have time to warm up your vocals, one of my singing friends said, just take a cup, put in some boiling water in there, and fold your hands around the cup and just breathe in the steam a few times, a few seconds, whatever, and that helps warm up the vocals as well. So all these tricks. But ultimately, I find at the end of the day, warming up your, resting your voice and not talking for hours on end is the key. Which is difficult, which is a catch-22, because when you're on tour, like, you know, going back to when I supported Michael Jackson, we were performing every night or every other night for 43 dates. And there was a time when I lost my voice. It got so hoarse and so tight, and I had no time to rest. I was so nervous. And that's when they started teaching me about warming up, about resting, about taking, you know, ginger, lemon, honey tea, whatever, taking manuka honey to, because it's antibacterial, to keep the throat sort of moist. And of course, you know, you can't hit your notes when you've lost your voice. You can still sing in some way. And so they also taught me how to work around a note when you can't hit that note, because it's bound to happen throughout your career as a singer, you know. And so I've learned all those things, and I would say that I'm still learning. I'm not quite there yet, because when I lose my voice, whether it's through laryngitis or I've got a cold, it can be quite nerve-wracking. I think it's most singers and actors' fears to go through that.
You have got like a great, powerful voice. So, you know, like you mentioned, if you get a cold, and then does it like affect your voice after? Like, have you? I can't explain it. So basically, like, have you got to practice again to get where you were before? Does it affect it like that?
No, it doesn't affect it like that at all. Thank goodness, no. But the only time now that I lose my voice is when I get a cold, and it's very rare that I get a cold. I'd like to think because I keep fairly healthy, but I do get the odd sniffle or the odd cold. And although I'm fine, you know, no headache, no nothing, it affects my voice. It's like, right, the cold's telling me I'm gonna get your voice. And then honestly, I cannot sing. I can't hit a note. I can sing just like, hello, everybody's free to feel good. There's no dimensions or anything, and it can be scary, you know. And I found when that has happened and I really can't hit a note and I've got a gig, I'll tell the promoters, look, I really cannot sing. I can't even hit a note. And they're like, no, we don't care. We really want you. Why don't you leave the vocals on and sing around the vocals? So that's my safety net when you got the vocals. But then the trouble is with that is the vocals, which has never happened, thank goodness. But the trouble with that, when I did do it many, many years ago, if you think about it, I sung Everybody's Free to Feel Good over 34 years ago. My voice has changed. My voice isn't that high. You know, I think as I've gotten older, my voice has gone lower. It's gone a few notches down. So to hit those notes then is a bit difficult. So I've got this going on some, everybody's free! Feel good! But you know, it's so much fun, and the show must go on, as they say.
Well, with live shows, you mentioned like the Michael Jackson tour was a highlight of your career, but over the years you'll have played plenty of shows. Like you say, you still play today. Is there any shows that stand out to you as a favourite?
Oh my goodness, Ethan, there's been so many. One of them that stands out, actually, that just came in my head was I did Mexico. I performed in Mexico. I think it was 20. Oh goodness, I can't remember. I think it was before COVID, I think. Or yeah, definitely was. And just going to Mexico City in itself was incredible. It was surreal. I just, you know, when I go to countries that I've never been to before, I pinch myself. Am I really here? Am I really here? And so it was massive. There were about 7,000, 8,000 people. in this arena, and they were just such big fans, so warm and welcoming. And I went on and I did Are You Ready to Fly? Incredible. And then about to do Faith in the Power of Love, and all the lights went. Everything in the arena just died. No music, no nothing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there were just a few lights that were on. And then I couldn't even talk to the audience because everything just died, you know. And I thought, well, what do I do now? So then I said, you know, I'll be back. So I walked off stage. The dancers walked off stage. And I'm thinking, you know, what goes on? So that wasn't my problem. That was up to the promoters. And then the next thing I'm hearing was the whole of the arena, they were clapping and stamping their feet and calling out my name, Rozalla, Rozalla. And my agent, Kevin Moss, at the time said, listen to them. And he recorded it, you know, and I've got the recording somewhere. But that was so surreal. That was so surreal. And they got the lights back on and they all started screaming. And I went out, and in fact, you know, they were all saying actually it turned out to be the best show ever, because that will never make them forget. That will certainly not ever make me forget. And a few of them messaged me on my Insta the next day saying, oh, we were so upset and we just wanted you to know that we loved you. So we all started shouting out your name, Rozalla. And that's what, honestly, that was just amazing.
Yeah, that's brilliant. It must be so, like, yeah, I can't imagine being on stage and something like that happening, and then it's out of your control.
It's out of your control. I mean, I thought to myself, you know, obviously I got a little bit nervous and I thought, well, I don't know what to do. So my agent and the people were going, come off stage. And I was like, only too happy to get off stage. But it actually turned out to be just one of the best shows ever.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, good luck with everything, the new music and the live shows. It's been an absolute honour to speak to you, the Queen of Rave, as you know. And it's honestly, it's been great to speak to you. I've enjoyed hearing all your stories.
Thank you so much, Ethan. Really appreciate that. You know, we could go on talking over and over and over. Just so many stories to tell, but thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, it was brilliant. Well, is there any other stories that you'd like to mention before we finish?
Oh, there's too many. There's too many. I think we've touched the most. So, but let's do this. Let's do this one day again, another time.
Definitely.
The line.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, definitely. It was an honour to speak to you. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Rozalla.
You take care. Lots of love.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye.